We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Miami Dolphins defense versus the Patriots, and I thought they executed at a super high level, probably the best they've played all around as a unit, I think, this entire year. Just like having Jalen Ramsey back there really changed the entire secondary. Even though they were missing Holland and Howard, it was great. I broke down a Ramsey video yesterday if you haven't seen it, but now looking at the whole defense entirely, I thought everyone individually played pretty well, and then everyone was just doing their job up front. The front seven played great. David Long was exceptional again, especially versus the run. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb getting pressure. Wilkins and Sealer solid at the point of attack, stopping the run. I thought Apple played better. I thought Kohu did what he usually does. When he goes down into the nickel, he plays great, and then when he plays outside, he's played bad. So playing mostly the nickel in the game, played great. Thought Brandon Jones played better in this game than he did in the other game he had to start. Sean Elliott was very good as well. Just all around great effort. Really gonna focus on the Fangio defense this time around and like look at all the different things that they were doing. I mean, on this first play here, pretty simple. They try to get the ball out on like swings or screens or jet sweeps to Demario Douglas because the Dolphins really struggled with it last time. But every time they try to do this with Kohu down in the slot, he just erases these plays. This is where he's at his best, just coming down, making these open field tackles behind the line of scrimmage. It's an excellent way to start the game, set the tone. This is where he excels. Just excellent work here, running some match coverage there, and everyone sort of is able to rally, get there too. Love seeing all these white jerseys around a player that's, on a 4-yard loss. So great tone-setting play there from Kidder Kohu. I think overall, Dolphins did a decent job stopping the run. They had a couple plays I think, they could have done better, but I think Phillips being out there actually really helps this run defense. He's very instinctive. Like, he's not the strongest at the point of attack, but he gets down and makes these plays, and I think the linebackers have done a good job of working off him, whether he's setting the edge or knifing to the inside. Everyone doing their job here, and this is in the overfront family. This is called a cheat front. This is something Fangio runs as much as anything, a cheat front. This is where you have, a 2-eye and a 3-tech, and the 3-tech is to the strength of the formation, and then you usually have like 2 9s on the outside with 2 linebackers. They're running it out of, their nickel package, and then Phillips knifes to the inside. Baker ends up, becoming this forced defender. Long is working off of Wilkins here, who knifes there, and everyone's just getting active down to the ball, filling their gaps. Phillips is able to spin off of this. They all meet him. It's a 2nd and 14. This is second play of the game. They only get 2 yards. Pretty solid job up front. I love how much more aggressive the defensive front has been playing over these past few weeks. 3rd and 3 situation. This is a big stop by this Dolphins defense right here, and this is, in my opinion, like, they're in penny and they're running a play called Bandit, where you play basically, man match on the back end, and you're bringing 4 people on a rush, but one of them is the Mike linebacker, who happens to be Jerome Baker. And now this looks like it's a different variation of penny, because usually when you're in penny, you have your nose right here, you have a 4-eye, and then you have another 4-eye, but instead of it being a defensive end, which it usually is, it's Van Ginkel standing up. So it's gives you a similar vibe and look to it, but instead of this being like a bigger guy, it's going to be Van Ginkel down in this gap, and they still bring 4, like Chubb drops here, and then Van Ginkel showing this pressure here is what I really like about this. Plus, it gives you more of an athlete in this position. And then Baker times this up. So this guard's going to be late to get there. And then he's forced to, leave the pocket quickly. Everyone rally to the ball. Love this play. Look how Jerome Baker deserves a lot of credit here. Plus, Van Ginkel, too, is smart. Look at him, like, take this outside angle. He wants to try to pull these guys away. But he knows if Baker hits through here, Mac Jones is likely to try to escape the pocket. So Van Ginkel smartly takes a great angle. And then they throw it to Stevenson, and then Baker is flying to the ball. So is Brandon Jones and Eli Apple, and they're able to stop him short of the gain there. Just good job all around by the defense. This play, I think, was one of my favorites in the game for this Dolphins defense. It's called WASP, and it basically stands for weak side A gap simulated pressure, where they bring that pressure up front, and then they play quads on the back end. And just that little pressure there from David Long instantly, because you still only bring 4, because Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips both drop. Sealer is able to win his battle up front. You can see because Wilkins takes that wide angle and is just able to shoot through here. And this basically forces multiple guys to take on David Long, the center, and the running back. And it really makes Mac Jones super uncomfortable. I'll actually show a diagram of this play. Shout out Honest NFL right here for the diagram. As you can see, like, it ends up having Jalen Phillips, who are the Will and the Sam, both drop, be the playing in the flats. You have your quads on the back end with your guys, outside guys playing basically match coverage, man on deep. Other guys, getting the final 2, and you still only bring 4, and it's David Long in this scenario, but that weak side A-gap simulated pressure. It's kind of cool to see like these diagrams come to life in a real play. We'll watch this play one more time, but I love when they bring these simulated pressures because the Dolphins have been very, very good on it and great coverage on the back end, forcing Mac Jones to really throw this away quickly. Dolphins out in their dime package. It's 3rd and 4. This is the touchdown they give up to Kendrick Bourne. They run cover 1 double. They were just doing a good job of disguising coverage in this game. I'll give them that. I mean, it's just Justin Bethel getting beat 1-on-1 in this scenario, but I do like that they're disguising coverages at least a little bit more. But this is a very interesting. Usually when they go cover 1, maybe this guy will rob, but I think they're literally just running 1 double. Like, look at Demario Douglas here. I think they're just doubling him straight up because you can see Jones just looks straight at him with Kohu on him. And Demario, I don't mind them doing this because Douglas is a threat. Like, when they played him the first game, he did fumble, and thank God he did because Belichick pulls people after they fumble. He was definitely their toughest guy to stop. Even though he's like a rookie from Liberty, he's super explosive. But then Bethel just gets beat 1-on-1 by Kendrick Bourne, which is unfortunate. And I think after this, they didn't play dime as much until later in the game. And or later in the game, they took Ramsey out on like the final drive, the final 4 plays. And Needham got to come and play the nickel while Kohu played outside. And Needham in those like 4 snaps he played actually looked pretty good down as the nickel. So I would like to see him play as this dime guy in these packages because he definitely looks better in those reps already than most of the dime guys that they've brought in. And I think he will definitely help out in these situations. Dolphins stopping the run again in their over cheat front. It's basically just a great play by Wilkins. Also, that diagram that I showed on that one play. Let me know if you want to see more of that, because I have more diagrams to show. Like, and I think it could help out. It's pretty cool to see from time to time. Don't want to overdo it, but here the 3-tech 2-eye. This is a pretty impressive play from Wilkins to be in this 2-eye to get on this outside here. He's getting hooked too. He's getting double teamed. This guy has a natural leverage to beat him on this like outside zone, and Phillips knifes to the inside, they don't have anyone to get to the outside here, and Wilkins, just so much range and athleticism. This is super impressive. He fights through this, tosses the guard out of the way while this center's trying to take him out. That's just pure strength, and now you have that lateral range to take Elliott out in space. That's just pretty much top tier work there from Christian Wilkins. They go cheap front again. This is one of the bigger runs that they gave up in this game, and it's just not great tackling. This is like one area I think they did struggle. They did struggle to tackle at times against this run, which was unfortunate. Plus Raekwon, I think this is just like, Raekwon Davis has been very, very inconsistent this year. I think he's been one of the worst players on the Dolphins defense, and he just gets driven out of the way. Like, I get you're shooting over into this gap, but once you get control here, you gotta like get control at the point of attack, and he just gets driven down, taken out of the way, and there's just too much space here to work with. Like, this puts David Long in a very tough spot to take on a center out in space, but all this room to work with. Brandon Jones as well, and he kind of has to go down quickly because the wide receiver's about to crackback block him, and then he kind of just runs through multiple tackles to get that. So that's something they got to clean up and work on, but the tackling overall, because these running backs are, the Stevenson, Elliott broke some tackles and are bigger guys too, but that's an area they can improve. Looks like the Dolphins play one lurk here on this slant to Devontae Parker out here, bringing forward pressure, and it looks like there's definitely some confusion. One lurk is usually like communication between the linebackers. One of them takes the running back, which it looks like Long takes Elliott, and then Baker would now like lurk the middle of the field. Basically, like if they brought down a robber as a safety, he's now just lurking, sitting underneath to take some things away. And there's definitely some sort of miscommunication because there's 2 guys over here covering this. I don't know, like they play man-to-man here. I think there's supposed to be another guy playing man-to-man on the slot. But either way, it gets thrown against Apple to the backside. Apple wasn't terrible in this game, but I mean, it's not, you don't want him isolated to the single side often. So I think you could see how much better. That's, like, the secondary played pretty well in this game, and I think they could play even better once Needham really gets acclimated, and then Howard and Holland could really, like, Ramsey's the person who changes this team, and I think he does no matter what if he's out there. But Howard and Holland can really, I think, now coming back with Ramsey out there, could take this secondary to the next level. Then the next play, got to show the Ramsey pick again. Then playing quarters to the bottom of the screen. This is just him baiting it, and that, like, I showed this in this video yesterday, so I'm not going to spend too much time breaking it down. But that transition there is absolutely insane, and this is just what he brings to the team. Big time playmaking ability, and we haven't seen anything yet. Like, it's just, he played one side of the field. Clearly they wanted to have, he said they wanted to have him on a snap count. He didn't even play the last drive, but he looked good. He wanted to be out there. He was hungry, and he helps change this whole unit just him being out there alone allows Ko to play in the slot too, which is a huge boost for the slot and their nickel look. And then Ramsey's just so much better on the outside. And this is insane. Like, this flip of the hips is unreal right here. And then gets the interception. Those are the types of things that Ramsey brings to this team. Then they go down in the red zone. They run quads a lot down in the red zone. They bring 4 pressure, but with David Long blitzing. And they just do a good job covering on the back end and then getting some pressure up front. Good job by Wilkins here. Wilkins has been much better this year. I feel like as a pass rusher, he's been much better. I feel like, he's gotten some slack this season, but he's just overpowers this guy. He's getting held there too, and he wins, gets that sack on a 3rd and 5. And this is a big time play. This is right after halftime, I believe, like after they fumbled instantly, and then that held them to a field goal. They only really gave up 7 points in this game, like 10 of the 17, came off those turnovers. Wilkins already tied his sack total from last season. This is what happens when you allow your defensive tackles to actually rush the passer. This is some strong fire zone action with the pressure that they're bringing here. They're bringing 5, forces them to get the ball out quickly because they are in a base defense here. Chubb is just super out wide as like a linebacker, but he basically turns into like a blitzer, I guess. And then Elliott replaces down here and matches number 2. And this is the play. This is, first of all, I think it's a great play by Deshaun Elliott. Could you argue that it could be a flag? Yes, I think that you could argue. It is like almost textbook. It just slightly, the top of his helmet hits like the under part of like Parker's face mask. And that just sort of happens naturally because Parker does like put that stuff there. I think this one can go either way because he like drops his shoulder into him. I think, that's about as textbook as it gets as a tackle and just absolutely destroys him. Deshaun Elliott's been so good. Like, great instincts there too. I know people complained about that one, and then they also called the one on Brandon Jones. I mean, the one where Brandon Jones got hurt, which that one didn't matter at all because it was 4th down. This one could have had an impact on the game, probably the one you want to argue the most, but I don't think it was like cut and dry. It's pretty bang play at the point of attack, and it's hard to definitely not like some super obvious miscall in my opinion, but great play by Deshaun Elliott. And next play, 3rd and 10, 3rd and long. Apple does a good job covering Jalen Reagor. I love how they match this on the back end. Dolphins playing quarters, so he matches like number 1 here going deep. They get here down in the slot. Justin Bethel gets down in the flat, goes out to that guy. He gets hands on number 2. They're playing quarters here. Everyone's just matched up. Everything's taken away. Ko matches Douglas down in the slot, and then Apple makes a play at the catch point, makes it very difficult for Reagor. You can tell like the secondary looked so much better in this game at distributing routes on a consistent level, and that's just really, really nice to see. This is called nickel slug, which is just Kohu blitzing and then running like cover 3 behind it, and it works out very, very well. Love seeing this. Like to see Kohu blitzing down in the slot because he's very effective at it. He's had some of the biggest plays of the Dolphins season defensively when they've blitzed like this. It ends up getting, some people sacks. Chubb knifes to the inside, which allows Kohu to get around there. It forces Mac Jones to step up, and then Bradley Chubb gets the sack on it. They play good coverage on the back end as well. These types of calls, the blitzes that they've done have been so effective, and they work really well against Mac Jones, which is great because Mac Jones is pretty 50-50 versus pressure. Sometimes he'll be like absolutely collapsed, but last week versus the Bills, he absolutely dominated when they blitzed against him. And this game, the Dolphins did it much, much better than Buffalo was able to. Now we're down in the red zone. This is like the touchdown drive that they scored on. They do a good job at least getting them to 4th and goal. Basically, on all these plays, they're just going to be red zone running either cover 1, cover 0. This is good coverage on the back end. Got to give credit. Like, Douglas is shifty, hard to cover. And these are the types of players Kohu can cover man-to-man down the slot. He's this guy, like, you don't want your like bigger DBs covering him. He's going to make some of these other guys on the team look foolish. But Kohu has that quick twitch to match Douglas out. He's basically running the corner for him right here. Jones like almost throws it as it's like going to be a fade because Kohu covered the corner so perfectly. I think Cater just fits that area so much better. And I've seen him get some heat, but he's really only played bad in the 2 games he was forced to play outside. And in those games, all his bad plays came against Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown in 101, who are both like top 5 receivers in the league. So it's hard to like give him too much critique when I think that's just not where he's supposed to be playing. And I think Fangio didn't put him in the best positions either. Then they stop the run. Jalen Phillips does a great job here, just knifing down to the inside, basically just single-handedly stopping Stevenson right there too, which is absolutely amazing. He's so explosive, and then like Phillips just does a great job. You're not going to block him with a tight end. He basically just pulls him down with one hand too. Everyone else getting active. Everyone else did their job, but Jalen Phillips just very hard to stop. This is a big pass deflection from Kohu. Everyone's playing man-to-man, and Kohu basically doesn't end up with anyone to cover. So he just like sort of sits in this area, sees that they're rolling out to the side. Everyone else is in man-to-man across the board. So Kohu just sort of sits at the goal line. So if Jones runs, he can get down, but he also can take away a throw into this area. So Kohu, just reading his eyes, makes a great play. Ramsey also had great coverage. Probably wouldn't have been caught anyways. But that's a heads-up play there from Cater down in the red zone. Then the Dolphins kind of got on this motion. Apple and Brandon Jones having miscommunication. They motion Juju across, and Jones clearly is communicating to Apple like to pass this off and take this. This is basically how the Dolphins scored on the Patriots later, and this is like how they scored also in the first matchup, running a very similar concept, and they just get this down into the flat. They don't pass it off. I think it's tough to say without being in the room, but to me it's probably more likely that Apple should have come off and taken this guy, and then Jones should have taken 83. Just makes more sense to me and how they've kind of played things throughout the year. So to me, that's more on Eli than it is on Jones. Clearly, they'll argue about it, but just got to be a little bit better in these situations. I thought they communicated better throughout this game, but on the one play they didn't communicate well, they gave up the touchdown. This was the Brandon Jones first almost interception. He almost had two. I wish he got one because he's not really known for his ball skills on the back end. He's never really been that type of guy. Also, I think it's pretty nice to see them basically playing. They're playing cover 6 back here. And you can see Needham in the nickel. They're playing cover 2 to this side of the field. And Needham just matches up his guy down here. Also, good job by David Long taking Gesicki on like a stick and nod. The other guy running down the seam. Everyone just does their job. They're actually playing, cover 2 to this side of the field. They're playing quarters to this side. Said that the opposite the first time. But Needham, great coverage. Takes this away the whole time. Needham looked comfortable out there, in my opinion, in his first action. Like that great coverage kind of forces that missed throw. And Brandon Jones almost comes down with that interception. Then you get to see Jalen Phillips dominate a rep on 3rd and 5. He looked great in this game, especially versus the run. He just absolutely, he just brings a different dynamic to the defensive line. I think the line has been pretty good this year when healthy. Like Van Ginkel's had his moments of dominating. Wilkins and Sealer have been pretty good this year. Chubb has been better than most people realize, I think. He's been pretty consistent. He had one, I think the Bills game, he wasn't very impactful. But all the other games, he was at least getting pressure. And just look at the hand usage here by Phillips to rip underneath. He's just so explosive and has that bend to him. He's the most natural pass rusher on this team, in my opinion. And when he starts taking off, like I think he has been these past 2 weeks after returning from injury, it's gonna, he could have just as much as an impact, I think, up front as Ramsey will have on the back end. Last play, that run breakdown for the Dolphins. They get pressure up front, playing, cover 6 or cover 8 on the back end, and Brandon Jones gets absolutely destroyed. Unfortunate. Hopefully he's good. I don't remember seeing too much about it after the fact, and I know there's talks about the penalties. I don't think Juju was trying to hurt him. I understand why he's trying to hit him to knock out the ball. I mean, it's 4th and 14, doesn't matter anyways. They do, run some game up front. Sealer gets pressure. Jones just kind of has to just chuck it up because he's getting sacked. And then, they just play good defense on that. The play itself doesn't really matter. The game is pretty much over at this point. But just nice to see these guys come in, make some good-looking plays. Jones played better. Hopefully he's okay. And then hopefully the Dolphins, I think Holland might be back now. I know he tweeted out a video like he was back. So, just really impressed overall with the defense. Good job by Fangio. Good job by the players executing. Makes me feel good about the future. The Chiefs are a huge matchup next week. I want to see how they do it. And I think they might be the most healthy next week on defense as they've been all year. And then after the bye, I think they could be as healthy as they've ever been on offense too, with Achane coming back. Possibly Armstead. He might play this week, might not. And then the O-line should all be good by after the bye. Like Robert Hunt should be good. I don't know if he's going to play 100%. But I think most of the offense, most of the defense could be very healthy after the bye, depending on how the Chiefs games go. And wow, this team could really hit new levels. I think, what I saw the Lions do the Raiders last night, I think, Achane might run for 300 yards against the Raiders if he's fully healthy in that game. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.